Hey Legacy community, this is Terramaster back again with another June Highlander replay. As always, before I get the duel started, the link to join our Discord is in the description below if you want to join in on any of these fun tournaments, as well as I have linked the playlist to all the June Highlander replays. But without wasting any more of your time, let's get into the duel. So here we have a PaoloNS, an Indian girl 96, who on Discord is Sennin, as you'll remember from the top 8 duels. And Paper Scissors was won by PaoloNS, and Indian girl 96 goes first. Summons the Gearfried, sets a back row, passes turn. PaoloNS is playing a little bit of spice here in a supply squad, and he will go ahead and activate that along with a back row and a set monster. That back row will get blown up by Dust Tornado. It was a Dust Tornado for Dust Tornado. Pretty fair trade, wouldn't you say? And Indian Girl did also use Dust Tornado's second effect to go ahead and set that Wild Tornado from his hand right away, which is very nice because it allows him to play Wild Tornado then on his turn rather than having to set it on his turn and then wait for Paolo's turn to pass over. He will go ahead and use that on the supply squad before attacking, so that Dust Tornado's second effect, which isn't very common in my experience, actually came in to be pretty useful. And also before his attack, he will activate Inner Conflict, take that Midoriya, and he's going for 3,600 damage, and he got it in. So just like that, he is one hit away from winning this game. That Midoriya goes back at the end phase since he did not tribute it off. I just wanted to show you guys what that back row was there because I myself was wondering. Midoriya goes into defense mode. He sets a Gearfried in defense mode, passes turnover. Indian Girl draws Windstorm, puts it face down, will go aggro once again. Taking out that Gearfried, he decides, oh, not as aggro as I thought, decides not to take out the Midoriya, passes turn back. A skill successor will come and be set face down. Interesting, even though he has skill successor, he didn't make it very obvious and put Amazon in this trainee in attack mode, nor did he go aggressive and go ahead and try to attack back with Gap. That back row is doing its job, which is protecting his monsters. And here comes one of those two back row. That Night Beam pops that skill successor. Here comes a Hyper Hammerhead. Hyper Hammerhead will take out that face down monster. Gearfried will take out that Midoriya, finally killing it. Geargarth gets popped so he doesn't take any more damage. But now comes Paolo's Inner Conflict at a measly cost of 200 life points. Imagine if it cost 200 life points all the time. Here comes Gap. Gap will attack, and let's see if, nope, he doesn't let it go through. He protects it with the Windstorm, but the Gap goes right back into attack mode, but the attack is disrupted. He will draw, he will set, he will pass. Paolo will summon the Amazoness Sage he drew, which gets Adhesion Trap Hole, weakening it to only 700. Now, if he tried to save that Adhesion Trap Hole, Amazoness Sage would have destroyed it anyway with her effect. So that's really the only chance he would have had to use it. He does go ahead and take 700 and the 400 from the Gap killing the Gearfried. So he's really on his last legs here. Draws offerings that will not help out both monsters. And we're going on to game 2. Game 2, Indian Girl, after losing that first game, gets to choose to go second. And here we go. And here's another little bit of spice I don't think I've seen yet, is Yugioh in PaoloNS's deck. That's pretty cool. I like that. Indian Girl will set a Command Knight and a back row, as I apologize. Paolo also set a Command Knight and a back row. Paolo draws for turn 3, activates Night Beam, takes out that Wild Tornado, which activates to destroy a face-up card on the field, but since no cards were face-up, that does absolutely nothing. Here comes Amazoness Sage, powered up 1800, does not get over that Command Knight though, does 100 damage back, passes turn back over, Blade Knight is drawn, Night Beam is activated, taking out that bluff Yugioh. That's one of the reasons personally I don't like bluffing all that much, although as you saw in the last game, it might also work as well. Here comes Charging Gaia at 2300 with a Command Knight power up. Ad's going to take out the Amazoness Sage. Will he crash Command into Command Knight? He will. He wants full control of this board, and he's going to take it. Paolo will draw into a Hades, summon his Gaia. He's going to clear the entire board by doing Gaia Crash into Gaia. Interesting, he could have done Inner Conflict there, but then he opens himself up to get Inner Conflicted back, so that's probably why he chose not to. Here's Hyper Hammerhead. It'll swing to do 1500 more. Turn passes over. What's crazy about the Inner Conflict mirror match is you always have to be wary of, if I Inner Conflict now and my opponent Inner Conflicts me right back, how likely am I to just lose that turn? So that's probably what both players are thinking about there, but he does Inner Conflict that turn to get that Hammerhead off the field, as well as hit him with a big 2450, but he does get Inner Conflicted back. There's that Waking the Dragon spice again. Hades is attributed for a gap, and that is threatening lethal until the Kunai with Chain flips up, blocking the attack. Once again, the whole gap interaction of it switches back right away. He draws into a Zoma the Spirit. Now this is going to be, I think, a good game one way or the other, and he indeed top decks the Offerings to the Doom. That makes all the difference in this situation, because when that Zoma flips up and goes into the monster zone, he can activate Offerings to the Doom, and that is game. What a draw. And we are going to game 3. Like I said before, this is what we live for. Game 3 will start off with the loser of Game 2, Indian Girl deciding to, with the loser of Game 2, Paolo deciding to go second, as Indian Girl will set 3 cards face down and pass turn over. Paolo will draw, he will set a Dust Tornado, summon a Gearfried, swing into triple back row, no fear, does that 1800 damage. Zoma activates at the end phase and gets Dust Tornadoed, well, not immediately, but now it does. Gets Dust Tornadoed in the draw phase, we can say. A Maneater Bug is set along with another back row, and the turn is passed over. Here comes an Amazoness Swordswoman, and he decides to just attack with his 2 monsters on the field rather than either summon Lancer Archfiend instead of the Swordswoman to get that extra piercing damage, or even just clear that monster out of the way. He probably thought that was too risky considering triple back row. But what happens is it's an old Vindictive Magician, it pops his Gearfried, and then allows turn to pass back over to Indian Girl, who top decks into a Gaia and gets rid of that Swordswoman. However, he's the one that is going to take that 400 damage. And now Paolo will draw into Mephist the Infernal General. He will set Newdoria and end the turn, so he's deciding to try to use Newdoria to get rid of that Gaia. But as you will have it, the Gaia will be the one swinging into Newdoria, leaving him with the option of either getting rid of the Gaia or the Command Knight, which was newly summoned. He will go ahead and get rid of the Command Knight. Paul will top deck Offerings to the Doomed, which he will activate. I think he's going to summon Gaia and go for it here. That's exactly what's going to happen. And let's see if this attack gets stopped. And yes, it does. Well, not the attack, but the Gaia itself gets weakened to a measly 950 attack points. Turn is passed back over. Indian Girl draws into a Trap Jammer, not good in this situation. Passes turn over. No draw phase. Lancer Archfiend is summoned. That 950 Gaia is enough for lethal at this point, and that is good game. You gotta wonder if maybe he should have used Floodgate on the Gaia. But one reason why I think players hesitate to Floodgate charging Gaia is that 2100 defense, and then if there is a gap or something to flip it face up later, it will regain that 2300 attack, which it doesn't have due to the downside of its effect. Anyway, that was actually pretty short and sweet, as both players played pretty aggressive, I think, for the most part. So that's our first top 4 match, and actually next time I'll see you in the grand finals. Terramaster out.